Hello, it's Daryl at 10-Foot Truck, Good Attitude Services. And I just got back from doing 3 pallet freight loads. So 3 pallets of materials moving to different locations. But what I want to talk about today is invoices. That's part of what I'm going to talk about. But since when I'm doing these pallet freight loads for these companies that are moving from one location to the next and so forth, different manufacturing locations. The company requires me to send them an invoice prior to doing the job. That's the best because I'll send it to them either the morning of or sometimes the day before, just to make sure that they get the payment. Sometimes they'll get it paid that day, sometimes it'll take a week or so. But in these type of contracts, I've done these before. I really don't do a lot of invoices. I just wanted to mention that one of the invoice makers that I've found to work, I had a couple of invoice makers that I've found on the App Store. So if you go on I have an Apple phone, I have an iPhone, and on the iPhone apps, I was able to locate an invoice maker by, let me see if I can find it here. It's invoice maker by Saldo apps. That's the one that I'm using right now. Let me see if I can open it up here. I think I already have. Anyway, I don't want to go through the whole process because I have it on this phone here. So it's an invoice maker, but you go on the App Store, you'll find invoice makers, and it's so much easier, at least for me, someone like me who I'm not good with using QuickBooks or databases or that kind of thing. So it's just something on a phone. I can type all the information in, it organizes it, and then I put the email address and it sends it to them, and I can send myself a copy so I can see, and then print a copy for myself for my own records. So if you need an invoice, that's the way I did it. I just go you go on the App Store. There's a bunch of them, so I'm not saying that's the only one. There's quite a few. If I go on here, let me put this down here. I'll go on and look at the apps. See if I can find. So you just go on invoice maker, and then it has a whole list of. And it goes. There's. Oh wow. Sorry about that. So yeah, I have like. Some I know you have to pay for some of them you have to do a free trial. I just paid a free trial. I got a free trial on another one that was really good. I can't remember the name of that one. I guess if you have QuickBooks that might work too. I just don't do that. So yeah, I got the invoice maker right here. And that's the one I found. Is that the same one? Yeah, by Saldo apps. So that's the one that I've used so far. That's the one that works for me the best. But that's the one there's so many of them here. I used another one years ago, and I can't seem to find it. But it looks like Square. Well, I use Square too, but that's for different invoices. I use that for another company. But it organizes it. It's you can keep track of them, and they look professional, and you can put your own picture and graphics on there. And they do require, I don't know, I can't remember what the cost of this one is per month, or if I even have that. I just signed up for it. One of them I paid, I think it was a free trial, and then after that it was a certain price per month, so you got to look around. But that's something that if you're doing these type of jobs where you're contracting with companies, and you might need invoice, so that's something good. Another thing I ran across today was when I do pallet loads, I hadn't come across this before. Usually I'm doing one, I'll go pick one up, and then I'll drop it off at the location, or pick it up here and I'll drop it off at their location. And sometimes I'll pick up another pallet's coming back. So he's trying to stack them up, which is better. He's trying to stack at least 3 a day. When I first started doing them, I was just doing one at a time, but he realized it's best if he stacks them up, and I'll do 3 or 4 a day, and I go to different locations. But in that case, you have to sometimes put multiple pallets in the van. So what happened today is he put one of the pallets in and then another one. So I dropped the first pallet off, but one of the pallets was all the way to the front. And he said, well, they have long forklifts. They can probably pull that out because you have to have, to go all the way into the truck. Since this truck is not backed up to a dock, I'm just going to, pull it up next to the doors of the warehouse. They have to come out with their forklift, drive outside, and then they have to bring in the forklift to pull the pallet out. It's not like a regular dock where you back up and then a forklift can drive in, because this is too small of a truck. It doesn't have the same height. Like a regular, when I used to drive 48-foot trailers, you could back one of those up all the way to the dock, and they handle the weight of a forklift. Or you could have a pallet jack, and you could pallet jack it out, or you could use a forklift. But in the case of these small vans, either a cargo van or what I got is a small box truck, they're gonna have to come outside with the forklift and go and put the forks, pull the pallet outside of your truck. So what happened is today that luckily I had this chain that I got off a job from one of my junk jobs. I got one of these big tow chains, or whatever you call them. They're really heavy duty chains, and because the forklift guy on the second load, he's like, I can't pull that pallet out because it's all the way to the back and I don't have the long forks. So that was going to be a problem, because of course these pallets are very heavy. You can't just get it by hand and pull them out. You can't just grab them and try to pull them to the back of the truck. Because see, it was all the way, see how the truck, see, usually a pallet would be here. Now the forks can get it from here, but when the pallet's way back here, his forks weren't able to. He was hitting the bumper. So I just said, well, I have a chain. And so now, let me get my gloves. I'll show you kind of how I did it. Just so if you run into this. He asked if I had a pallet jack. But this box truck, some box trucks you can have pallet jacks in them, and that's enough room. But in here, there's no room for a pallet jack. So, in the case you don't have a pallet jack, and say you have a van or a smaller box truck like I have, and you're doing pallet runs, and the forklift doesn't have the extended forks, just if you happen to have a chain, and it has to be a pretty heavy duty chain, because it's going to be pulling a lot of weight. So luckily on this job I got this really heavy duty tow chain, and all I did is see how that hook right there, it's a 3/8 chain I acquired on a junk job, and it's pretty long. It's got this hook and it's got this hook right here. So what I did is you hook this onto on the forklift. There'll be where the forks come out. There'll be right where in the middle. There's a place you can attach a chain. You can ask the guy, and you hook this onto that. And then what I did is I just grab the chain. Let me get that right there. Grab the chain. And you put it. See where the pallet has this in the middle here. You just hook it on around here. And you go all the way through, basically. So, and then you're going through that back here, just hooking onto the pallet. This other piece, end of the chain, so this end of the chain right here, this hooks onto where the forks to the forklift. Then once that's hooked in, you go through and then pull all the way through. I'm not going to show you how to pull all the way through, but then you just hook this, put the hook into the chain. Let's see if I can get it there. Like that. See the hook? See the chain all the way through. Onto the hook, it's hooked onto the forks. And then you just like that. And you get the tension, you just get it hooked on there. Of course, you're not gonna see the tension until you get it all the way through. it's gonna hook on. It's not hooked on now, but it'll hook. We just hook it to the loop. And so, since this is a heavy-duty chain, I don't know what grade chain. I got this off a job, but I kept the chain not because I was. See how it's hooked on there. I kept the chain not because I was doing pallet loads. I just kept it in case I needed to tow something, pull something. Because what I did one time on a job is I moved a body shop. I moved a guy who had a full body shop, and he had those huge alignment frame things, or for basically for aligning frames. They're really heavy, tall. I don't even know what they call them. Things are super heavy, and we had to put it in the storage. We had to stand it up. So I hooked the chain. He had this chain with him. I hooked it to that big tall mechanism to raise it up on its wheels, because it was on its side and it had wheels we could roll it around, but we had to transport it on the side. There's no way we could lift the thing, so by hand. So we just hooked the chain on the back of the truck and pulled it up. And after that, I just kept the chain, and hadn't used the chain since. But I'm glad I kept it. So a lot of times you just keep these. And I have it in the truck because I figure, something gets stuck and I need to. That chain's very sturdy. It'll work. And it hooked onto the toe. But yeah, now it works. Now I know it works good for the pallet. So since I don't have a pallet jack where I can move the pallet up and down closer to the edge of the truck, now I can offer the chain. So that worked. That's just something maybe, you may run across. I ran across it today. It worked. The guy pulled the pallet out, was able to get it up front, get the forks in there and pull it out. So I'm going to keep that chain. I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I thought, well, what if I just keep this chain for no reason? But now I realize I do need it, because I'm going to do these pallet loads probably up until, I don't know. I mean, they didn't really say, but I think he said they're looking for another truck, but not until July. So I got some time to be doing those pallet loads, and they seem to be so far about 3 or 4 a week, and so it's pretty regular gig. Yesterday I did I worked for a property owner who owns apartments, bringing in some appliances and removing the old appliances. That may work into some more jobs, so hopefully I'll get something like that too. It's good to have those regular gigs like that, like half of the pallet loads, freight loads, and then also a property manager or something like that, where they're going to be calling you on a regular basis, so that you don't have to put out so much ads. Another thing too, I just noticed in my area, I used to have to put more Craigslist ads up, because there was so many service providers putting Craigslist ads. It was burying my ad. So I put one up in the morning, and by the afternoon it would be way down the list. So someone maybe in the evening would be looking for a provider, and they wouldn't see my ad. They would see the person that put it up first. But in the last week, and I don't know if I just noticed this recently, but in the last week or so, I've noticed that I'll put up an ad, and then I'll go back like 2 days later, and my ad's only like four. There's only like 4 service providers above me, and most of these people who put up ads are junk removal and moving companies, so I advertise both. So I'm advertising hauling and pickup and delivery. So, but I noticed there's only like 4 others up in front of me, and that was after an entire day. And then I checked again today, and I was looking. I hadn't done it for 2 days, so I realized I don't really need to advertise that often on Craigslist, because my ads aren't getting buried. So I'm getting calls off of ads that I did 2, 3, 4 days ago. Where in the old days, there was a lot more people advertising on Craigslist, so you would get buried in there, and you'd have to keep putting more ads up at least once a day, twice a day. And back when they were free, you really had to put a lot out, because since they were free, people were posting them all the time. Now that they're $5, people are a little bit more conservative about that, but I noticed there's not as many people, and I'm not sure why. So I'm not having to post as many ads and still getting calls off the older ads. So that's a good thing, because now I don't have to post Craigslist ads 2 a day or 1 a day, even 1 a day. I can post like 1 every other 2 days or 1 every other 3 days, and they're only $5. So say if I post 1 every 3 days, you know, that's 2 a week or so. I could probably still get calls off of that, but I try to do more than that. But if I had to, I'd post a couple, and that's only $10 a week. You know, that's not that much. That's only like $40 a month, and you'll still get calls, you get business. I'm still working on the Google ads, I'm still doing that, and all that other marketing. But I do really rely a lot on the Craigslist. A lot of the clients I've got now, regulars, were through the Craigslist ads. So I think that's about it. I just wanted to kind of show you that what I did today with the different things that sometimes you come across. Another thing I did I know that when I went to go do the appliances, I knew there were stackables and they were going to be really heavy. They're the stackable appliances. So I brought every tool that I have. I brought the appliance dolly, the 4-wheel dolly, my multi-use dolly. I bought all my sliders, which are those things you can put on the floor and slide, the plastic sliders you get. I bought, what else did I bring? All my tools. So in the end, I needed every single one of those tools, because the appliance was shoved in this closet, and the measurement was the measurement was exactly the width of the, when it's full, it was the shortest width of the actual washer and dryer. It's the only way to get it through. There was no way to get a dolly in there, and it was stackable, and I couldn't take them apart because of the way it was set up. I had to use sliders and push it through. It was really difficult, but thank God I brought all the tools, because I used every single one of those tools. So when you're going on one of these jobs, especially when it's something like you're not quite sure, something like that, just make sure you're prepared. Hand tools too. I use those to connect, to install the washer and dryer. You have my, hand tools and screwdriver and vice grips and all that stuff to hook everything up. So it's important to have all those hand tools and dollies and anything you can think of, because it's going to make your job a lot easier. So, and now bring in the chain in case you need to pull some pallets. So just keep collecting tools. In fact, tonight I'm going to Harbor Freight. I need a new saw blade, and I need some new wheel chucks. When you're doing these pallet loads, you have to have wheel chucks. Unfortunately, I left mine. I lost one before, and I only had one left, and I left it at the other place. So I called them and said if you can hold on to it. They're only $10, but so I'm gonna go to Harbor Freight, get 2 wheel chucks, which hold the wheels when the forklift is pulling heavy weight out of the truck or pushing it in. You want those wheel chucks so it's not putting pressure on your transmission. So I got to go get those. I got to get a new saw blade because mine's worn out, and look around for other tools. It's always fun to go look at tools. Yesterday I was at Lowe's. Today it's going to be Harbor Freight, because they're pretty reasonable. So anyway, I got my gloves on, so I can't stop the phone here. I think I can't use the phone with it. Anyway, this is Daryl. Hope everything's going great out there for all you guys out there, being prosperous and getting some great work and great customers. This is Daryl at 10 Foot Trucks signing out. Have a great week.